Oh
Okay.
yeah, I love Lenny Kravitz. He's so cool.
Welcome to the Greatest Lists podcast, a show about music and lists. This season, your hosts Jason and Eric are counting down the top 25 guitar solos of the 80s and the top 25 guitar solos of the 90s. Think your favorite made the list? Tune in and find out. Take it away, boys.
Welcome back to season 2 of Greatest Lists, a music and talk podcast featuring lists of the greatest songs of all time. I am Jason, your host for this episode, and joining me, well, you might figure it out. He's usually here. He's always been here, actually. It's Eric. Hey.
You can't get rid of me. I'm always here.
Always. Like just
always.
hovering. Just
like
hovering.
A pimple. I'm always here.
Hey, we are continuing our season 2 list of our favorite guitar solos in the 80s and also in the 90s, and we are probably about waist deep now in the 90s.
We're drowning.
We're almost getting halfway here. We're getting closer here. Quick reminder: Spotify Premium. Go out there and find that. Sign up for it. You get to hear the songs during the episode, or find the song whip links in the show notes. You can go and listen to them after we're done talking. But our next pick in the top 25 guitar solos of the 90s, song from 1993. Album has the same name. Number 15, Are You Gonna Go My Way by Lenny Kravitz.
Behind the music.
All right, our spotlight today is on guitarist Craig Ross. Craig borrowed a guitar from a neighbor's garage at the age of 8 and started playing music from early influences like the Beatles and Chuck Berry. Before the age of 16, Ross started playing LA clubs and eventually formed the band The Broken Homes while he was in high school. They opened for prominent musicians like Stevie Ray Vaughan, INXS, and Jerry Lee Lewis, among others, while doing club gigs with bands like Guns N' Roses and Jane's Addiction. The band recorded 3 albums, one of which was produced by Andy Johns, of course, of Led Zeppelin, Rolling Stones fame, producer for them, some of their albums. And then a chance meeting happened in an LA pool hall with Lenny Kravitz.
Wow.
And this was actually facilitated by Kathy Valentine of the Go-Go's.
Oh, hey.
So there's just name dropping this whole episode here.
Nice.
So that chance meeting led to a 20-plus year association between the two. After touring with Kravitz for his second album, 1991's Mama Said, Craig joined Lenny in the studio, co-writing and playing all the guitars on the track Are You Gonna Go My Way, which helped elevate Lenny's career to new heights. The collaboration continued with standout solos on tracks like Believe and Is There Any Love in Your Heart from this album. And it helped make Lenny a top rock act in the early 90s. Craig has written and played on every subsequent Lenny Kravitz album since, as well as playing on records for Sheryl Crow, Mick Jagger, B.B. King, Eric Clapton, the Black Crowes, and others.
Man.
So he gets around, but he is Lenny's guy and has been since their chance meeting there. Ross predominantly uses a Gibson Les Paul, but in an interview with Vintage Guitar Magazine, he said he usually takes 20 guitars into the studio when recording. The one that gets played the most, he says, is Lenny's 58 Gold Top. Right before we recorded Are You Gonna Go My Way, he bought a collection, and part of that was the Gold Top and the 50s Gibson Skylark amp that wound up being the sound of that record. The Gold Top gets passed back and forth, and it's got some kind of energy to it. When we get into more creative things, I've got an old Vox Starstream with built-in effects, and it's amazing for overdubs and cool sounds here and there, unquote. So background on the song, Lenny from his website says, we were just jamming in the studio. You know, I was jamming with Craig Ross, who I wrote the song with. It was one of those songs that happened in 5 minutes. We were jamming. I thought there was something happening. I told Henry to turn the tape machines on, and we played. Oh, you remember tape machines?
Tape machines. Roll tape.
He continues, and that was it. And then I went on and wrote the lyrics on a brown paper bag. I remembered at my loft on Broome Street at the time, went and sang it the next day, and that was it, unquote.
Wow.
He told Rolling Stone in 2018, this is Kravitz.
Yeah.
He said, quote, I thought the subject matter was really interesting because it's coming from the mouth of Jesus Christ, as I thought. So basically, Are You Gonna Go My Way, meaning my way of love. I had no idea that the song would become what it became. No idea. There was nothing on the radio like that. And the recording is so raw, it's ridiculous, unquote.
Yeah.
So to be honest, I've heard the song a million times. Had no idea that where the background for those lyrics came from, you know.
I saw him in an interview right after that, and he mentioned that in the interview.
One more thing about Are You Gonna Go My Way? It was released as an airplay only single in the US. I guess just for radio, and thus was not eligible to chart on the Billboard Hot 100. At the time, many record labels chose to only release promo singles to radio stations, so listeners would have to buy the whole album to hear the song, which that worked
weird.
on me. It worked on me very well. While the strategy worked for album sales, it kept artists off the chart until the rules changed in 1998. It did reach #1 on the album rock tracks and #2 on the modern rock tracks charts at the time. Also reached top 5 in the UK and was #1 for 6 weeks in Australia.
Wow.
So that was weird. I had not realized it didn't make the Hot 100 at all.
I didn't either.
It's a travesty.
Yeah, no kidding.
Let's get personal.
All right, so this track just hit me like a ton of bricks. I mean, I could not hear it enough. I went out, immediately bought the cassette album, and, you know, when I, like other songs on the album, like I mentioned before, like on the Type episode, when I hear one song and I want to hear it over and over again, probably you can hear clicks on that cassette now from where I was stopping and rewinding and stopping and rewinding, and I just could not get it enough. And I remember watching the music video on MTV. They just seemed really cool, and it was cool that Lenny had a girl drummer.
Yes, I love that girl.
She actually became his touring drummer soon after shooting the video, but that's not actually her on the album,
right,
playing the drums. He didn't hire her until he heard her, I was reading, play somewhere, and then he called her up and had her play while he was on the phone, and then invited her out to Cali, and
nice, and
got her to do the music video. And then, you know, I was on the road with them for a while. So yeah, I don't know, I just love that music video and seeing her just jam out. And then, man, that song just hit me like a ton of bricks that year. So what about you?
Well, I love that. I love her, that drummer too. Just a weird sidebar. I follow her on TikTok. And she plays for Santana now, I think. And
that sounds right.
Because of her, I follow like 3 other girl drummers now, and it just, I don't know, it's become this rabbit hole that I fall down when I watch TikTok. Is these women drummers that are just ridiculously good. But I love this track. I have always loved this song since the first time the first time I ever heard it. It was the video on MTV, and it was just, I fell in love with Lenny Kravitz from that point. I've been a huge Lenny Kravitz fan ever since this song. So it's a great track. It's you know, it's got a great groove to it. Funny thing is, so when we curl at the Ice Center every season, we have like a playlist that we play in the background just to get people dancing or whatever, or just, you know, entertainment. And this song is on this season's playlist. And the past 2 Wednesdays when we've curled, it's played, and I literally remember seeing people dancing to this song because it's just so infectious. I mean, you know, that beat, the beat, the rhythm guitar, it's just so infectious, and
it never gets old.
No, it doesn't.
It never gets old.
No,
that's what I love about it.
Yeah, And for the longest time, I thought Lenny Kravitz was the guy playing guitar on this song. So kind of a letdown that's not Lenny Kravitz playing the solo, but I mean, hey, the dude's ridiculously talented anyway. I think I mentioned off air that he played Sunday night on the Oscars and played piano. He's just ridiculously talented. But I'd never heard of Craig Ross. I need to look this guy up some more because he's got quite a background there playing for all those other people.
He does. He really does. Yeah, and I love. Speaking of singles, so we had "It Ain't Over Till It's Over."
Yeah,
we had that single too. So I had a little touch of Lenny Kravitz. I'm like, this cannot be the same guy doing this song and doing "It Ain't Over Till It's Over," which is that real mellow. He sings high. And it's
quite a range.
Yeah, he just I don't know. It was almost like hearing a different artist when you hear this song. Let Love Rule. Yeah, that one too. I mean, both of those were just, that's not Kravitz. This is Kravitz to me, rocking out.
The breakdown.
So I've always loved the sound of Ross's guitar. And I think that's part of the appeal. Even, when he was talking about, I didn't know it was that old of a guitar and setup that he had, but I just love the sound of it. I like the little break that he has right before the solo. There's some effects there on the guitar, and then you get that really great bass riff that leads right into the solo. I mean, there's a real fun setup to that point in the song. And then, we've mentioned several times, I think I mentioned it last episode, that if you can sing along to the solo,
right,
it's a great song.
It's a great one. Yeah.
I can play it out in my head. I can sing it along in my head, even without hearing the song. But it's such really great, and it's the solo is great, but it's all about that riff.
Yeah,
I mean, that's what catches your ear. It's the glue for the song. Well, the bass line too, but that riff, it's just played over and over and over again. It's so catchy. And then I don't know. I just listening to it again this time for a couple times. You think how Kravitz just surrounded him with great musicians. Listening to this song and listening to songs throughout the years now that I really enjoy, he has surrounded himself with the right people, and what he does then is just accentuated even more when you got that real good band behind you, that they can do their own thing. But for the most part, during his I don't know, last several albums and even early 2000s, I can really hear that they make him better, in other words. And it's nothing against their talent as individuals, but if your name is the name, you're going, that's on the concert ticket, like Richard Marx, he's got some great people heard behind him. It's interesting that these solo artists, the really good ones, know how to surround themselves with the right people.
Right.
And that's what I just feel about the Kravitz as a whole. He's really made that connection over the years and kept those people in his band. So his sound or style really hasn't changed that much over the years. He's tried different things, but you still got that core group of people,
Yeah.
I think Ross is a part of that.
Yeah, I think so too. I agree with you. He has surrounded himself with a band that's uber talented and he can pull the best out of, and they can pull the best out of him.
So number 15 on our top 25 guitar solos of the 90s goes to Craig Ross and Lenny Kravitz for Are You Gonna Go My Way? Some bonus songs for this episode. So I really do like the song Believe that's on this album.
Yep.
And Ross's solo is pretty great on that. And then I was debating between a couple songs. I was trying to keep it within the 90s, and I was going to go with I Belong to You, but I think I'm going to do Again which is from I think
Oh,
early 2000s.
that is such
That
a
has
great song.
that has a great solo. So
Yes.
since we're focusing on that, we'll play it again for
That
you.
is such a great. I'm glad you picked that song. That's such a great song.
So stay tuned. You'll hear those bonus songs in their entirety. If you're a Spotify premium user, free Spotify users, you'll get to hear part of those songs, and then you'll just want to go click those song whip links and go find them in your favorite music app, if Spotify isn't that app. So if you like the show, please subscribe, leave us a rating, and hit us up. We are under that Retro Network umbrella, as I've been mentioning on these episodes this season. Go support us over there on Patreon. Get your name in the show notes and get to hang out with us on Slack, or you can go hang out with us on Twitter at Greatest Lists. And if you prefer, you open up your browser and listening to podcasts, greatestlistspodcast.com is where you can find all of our episodes. Eric will take over hosting duties for our next show, number 14, which will put you in a whirlwind. See what I did there? Thanks for listening to Greatest List, and we look forward to continuing our list of the top 25 guitar solos of the 90s on the next episode.
You've been listening to The Greatest Lists.